Welcome to the Uriah Jokes Podcast. I am Uriah, this is my podcast, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So, of course, when I put my jokes onto the YouTube shorts, they get a lot more views, and people are like, Uriah, how the hell is this funny? This is madness. I'm like, madness? These are my jokes, and if I wanted to live in Sparta, I would have myself a six-pack. But because of my problems with the Alcoholic Anonymous Club, it would be a six-pack of beer. That's right. I don't like talking with strangers that don't know who I am, that don't know who I'm going to be, that don't know who I want to be. If I wanted to hang out with a group of strangers who didn't want to know what I wanted to be, but what I wanted to be something, then I would hang out with my family on Thanksgiving. I don't think that sentence made any sense, but what is going to make some sense here is this is a new segment on my podcast, which really is just going to be a comedy show on YouTube, which is really just a YouTube video, except I do an audio format. And today what I'm going to do is I'm kind of working on a joke. And what I want to do is kind of build the bit and the joke with you guys. So what's going to happen is I'm going to kind of give you what I have with this joke right now. And then what I want you guys to do is go ahead and like my joke, like the joke. But, comment down below, and there's different aspects of the joke. So there's the setup, the punchline, and then a tag. So tag could come after the joke as a word or just like a couple words that just add to the joke, but not enough where you have to set up the joke because you already did the setup. I don't need to mansplain you jokes, but that's it. So the one I got going on right here is, so I kind of had this idea, and it's kind of morphed into things, is one thing, I work at a restaurant, and kids run around, and they're always, buying food, right? And I'm like, okay, these people are overpaid. So, okay, these kids are overpaid, and when I was a kid, my dad watched overpaid hockey players lose. So I'm like, okay, there's something there. So there's one thing where I can loop in my childhood and that kind of weirdness, and then my dad watching overpaid hockey players. So then I started thinking, okay, so this is the joke. When I was a kid, my dad would give me an allowance that I didn't really deserve because I hide everything under my bed, including my emotional problems. So I was a certainly overpaid child at that point. My dad also enjoyed watching overpaid hockey players lose on the TV. So it would always confuse me when he would never show up to my Little League game. I'm like, Dad, what the hell? Don't you like overpaid athletes lose games? So basically, so the thought process that went into my head is a lot of the jokes I get, a lot of the things always come from a root thing is annoyance. And that's more or less the bit. We'll do it one more time. And then one thing you guys could do is be like, okay, you're right. You should kind of send it this way. People always come up to me after a show, and they'll be like, oh, you should do a joke like this. Oh, you should be funnier. And then I'm like, what does mean, man? Come on. So there's lots of different things I can add to this. Like, kids run around and they're getting more laughs than me. I'm like, what the hell? The kid's not even doing anything. He's not even writing material. So that's basically the joke, guys. So that's the bit. It's really just a joke. But so I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it one more time. And a lot of times what will happen now is my brain will think about something else to add to it or just change it all the way because it's always the way my brain is always operating, and it's operated like this for a very, very long time. Ever since 4th grade is when I started being the class clown and realized, oh, you can skip so many parts of getting to know someone just by telling them a joke. I'll tell you what, when I meet somebody and I make them laugh right away, you skip 10 steps in my 100-point process. I think about someone like a used car. That's a horrible thing to say, but these are jokes. So I'm like, I don't need to do 10 more points of the inspection because I know you have a sense of humor. To be honest, though, it's like 99% of those points are just thinking I'm funny, and the other one would be tolerable. It's like I'm just looking for someone that can stand hanging out with me and listening to my jokes, because when there's a different conversation going on, Like, people talk about politics back and forth. I'm like, are you guys bored? Like, if I'm just, like, talking, if I'm on a date with someone, I'm just talking to them, and they're just, like, nodding, I'm like, they're thinking about something else for sure. You know that when they're listening to you, if you tell a joke and they laugh, then you know that they're listening to you. And if they don't laugh, then there's an awkward silence. But what I do is then I laugh at that joke. So if I'm like, man, I don't like kids. And I don't like kids. I don't have a good reason for it, but I don't like kids because they can run around and get more laughs than me. I'm like, what the hell? I write jokes all day long, and they get more laughs than me. So, I mean, that could be a joke. That could just be funny. These are not necessarily things that would go on the stage. Like, the things that I allow on the stage is, like, the top-tier comedy. And if you're like Uriah, that top-tier comedy can be reached by the baby that's crawling around on the floor. That is right. But if that baby is crawling around on the floor, why are they crawling around on the floor? Because babies don't have kneecaps because they're crawling and gambling debt. See what I did there? Looped in another joke. So we'll start this one more time. I talk way too fast. My brain. I have to keep up with my brain. My mouth is like, Uriah, slow down. So when I was a kid, my dad would give me an allowance that I didn't really deserve because I hide everything. I do a horrible job. I'd be running around the house doing nothing. So I was certainly overpaid. And I saved up to finally get my Little League mitt. And I auditioned, and I got the part in the baseball play. And then I invited my dad to my Little League game, and he said, no, I got other overpriced athletes to watch on the TV, Uriah. How about you go win some games? So that's a different way to do it. So, what? Go ahead, let me know your thoughts down below, right? And whether or not you like this segment, what can make this segment better? And maybe what we'll start doing, we'll just start building bits from the ground floor and all the way up to the top floor, all without getting the proper building permits. That way, if my joke falls apart, I have my insurance company to bail me out.